Breaking news right now, a jury has recommended death for the man who shot and killed Marisol Lopez, Anna Pinion Williams, Jessica Montague, Deborah Cook, Cynthia Watson inside of a Sebring bank back in 2019. For almost all of June, the small town has listened to the gruesome details about Zephan Zaver's killing spree. Hello, I'm Amanda Hall.
And I'm Russ McCaskey. The jury recommended death for Zephan Zaver in a 9-3 decision for all 5 counts of first-degree murder. Of course, Amanda covered this story from the very beginning in Sebring. You can tell us what this recommendation means for the community.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in Sebring. I'm from Highlands County. So to have this very emotional trial, going on in my hometown, it's been hard to watch from here in Lee County. And they've had to hear a lot of really tough testimony. We've heard from family members. We heard from those witnesses, the man who arrived at the bank shortly afterwards and saw all 5 women on the ground. He left the area because of what he saw. So I hope for these families, it finally brings them peace. We have a reporter there who's working to speak with everyone, get some reaction afterwards. But I hope that it gives them some sense of peace and they're finally able to move on from this.
Yeah, they're just now starting to leave the courtroom. We're going to have much more on this throughout the afternoon and the evening. But again, Zephan Zaver has received a recommendation of the death penalty for all 5 counts for the murders that happened in Sebring in 2019 at a bank.
Yeah, what's interesting too is it was not unanimous, and had the law not changed, he'd be serving life in prison.
Yeah, it would be a different outcome. All right, let's turn things over to Matt, or Greg rather, get an update on the weather.
Yeah, right now, most of the showers and thunderstorms have begun to push inland, and this is exactly what we were expecting after rounds of rain and thunderstorms earlier this morning from 75 and to the coastline. Now the majority of the action is in our inland communities from sections of Sebring and points to the north, DeSoto County, a couple of spot showers just outside of Babcock Ranch. Been tracking some showers. One just popped up on the screen right on top of downtown Fort Myers, extending south along 41 out towards the Page Field area. Now these will likely continue over the next couple of hours, but what can you expect for the remainder of the work week and into the weekend? My full forecast talks about it.
Hi, Greg, thanks. So the families of the victims of this convicted killer sit and wait to hear if he will be sentenced to death. We showed you live as a jury recommended the death penalty for Wade Wilson yesterday. Now, Wilson was convicted for the brutal strangling of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz in Cape Coral 5 years ago. Now we're waiting to hear if a judge will take that recommendation from the jury and sentence Wilson to death. Now, Wink News anchor Liz Biro joins us live. And Liz, you spoke with Wilson's attorney. What did he tell you about Wilson's reaction after the recommendation?
Yeah, he believes that Wade Wilson anticipated that result. He anticipated that this jury would recommend death because of the graphic nature of the offenses and because of the evidence they heard during the guilt phase of this trial. Now, while Wade Wilson may not have been shocked, when that decision was read, we saw a reaction from Wilson that we had never seen before. As Wade Wilson sat in anticipation of his jury's decision, life or death, the gulp started. Wilson physically getting choked up and couldn't stop throughout the reading.
We, the jury, find by a vote of 9-3 that Wade Wilson should be sentenced to death. We, the jury, find by a vote of 10-2 that Wade Wilson should be sentenced to death.
Wilson took it all in, looked over at his attorneys. One of them, Kevin Shirley, who I sat down with Wednesday. Was this a gulp of shock? Was this a gulp of everything setting in?
I don't know. Mr. Wilson's kind of a complex individual. I don't know that that was had anything to do with shock. Who might have been a final realization that this whole thing is almost resolved.
5 years after Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz were murdered, a jury of Wade Wilson's peers recommended the judge sentence him to death. It took that jury less than 2 hours, including lunch.
I thought it would take them longer. As much as we're disappointed in their recommendation, at least they did their job. They came back and did not find that the state had proven all of their aggravators against both.
And the jurors voted different for the 2 different victims. Former Florida law said their vote had to be unanimous. Now, all you need is a majority of 8-4.
3 of them thought there was sufficient mitigating circumstances to not recommend death on the first homicide and 2 on the second. So if the Florida law hadn't changed, we may not be having this conversation today.
And the jury can recommend a death sentence, but his true fate is decided by the Honorable Judge Nick Thompson. Now, what's the likelihood that this judge sticks with the jury's recommendation? We'll stick with Wink News, and I'll tell you that at 5:30. I'm live outside the Lee County Courthouse. Liz Biro, Wink News.
All right, Liz, thanks. Restaurants are the latest victims for Southwest Florida's newest serial Dine and Dasher. This Port Charlotte restaurant caught this woman ordering a ton of food, eat, and then walk out without paying. The owner of Bella Napoli Pizzeria posted her picture on Facebook and was shocked when at least 2 other restaurant owners messaged him saying that she had done the same thing to them at their restaurants. We'll have more on this story for you coming up on Wink News at 6.
An accused killer has been caught. Investigators say Brian Arce hit a 23-year-old man while he was riding a skateboard near the intersection of US 41 and Main Street in Port Charlotte. Here's the damage to the car. Deputies say he got out of the car to look before then speeding off. More than 22,000 students could be added to this school district in just 10 years. But where will they go and how do you pay for it? Those are some of the questions the Lee County School District is trying to answer with their 10-year growth plan. As the district meets tonight, they're faced with major problems. Wink News reporter Olivia Jean is live from the school district headquarters. Olivia, tell us about those problems.
More and more people are moving into the school district of Lee County, which could create some overcrowding issues in the future. Now, district leaders are working to make a plan to create more seats in the classrooms by building new classrooms, building new schools to handle the projected number of students by 2033. While kids are enjoying their summer break, the school district of Lee County is hard at work trying to keep up with a booming population.
If enrollment reaches 115,619 students as it's projected by Davis Demographics, it will exceed our current student station capacity by 22,082 seats.
The district says they are already at 94.3% of occupied seats and will not be able to keep up with the need unless something is done.
I think they work so hard for our kids and everybody on the community, so it's a good district.
His 10-year-old daughter, Patricia, goes to Hector Cafarata Junior Elementary School, which is on the list for upgrades. It was destroyed by Hurricane Ian and will soon be expanded to include additional grade levels. Bayshore Elementary is also on the list to add more seats, along with 12 other schools. The school district is looking to add 13,000 new classroom seats, costing $1.4 million in the latest 10-year capital plan presented Wednesday.
A lot of people are coming here, so they have kids. So we're supposed to have a new schools for everybody. So it's good. If they are trying to build new schools, that would be good.
Because then more kids get more education. So then more kids can get like more jobs when they're older and have a good life.
If approved, 10 new schools will be built in Lehigh Acres if the plan is approved. Now, the school district says even with the additional seats being proposed, it still falls short if the district continues to grow at its current pace. Live in Lee County, Olivia Jean, Wink News.
All right, Olivia, thanks. We're just a day away from a rematch on the debate stage of the 2020 election. President Donald Trump and President Joe Biden will face off in Atlanta for the first debate this year. We will have a look at the debate stage. There you see it. It's hosted by CNN, but it will air right here on Wink. The events have already started in Atlanta today. The Trump campaign held a Black American Business Leaders Barbershop Roundtable. One of the participants was our Congressman Byron Donalds. At the same time, Democrats held their own event at the Capitol, where a former D.C. Capitol officer said this.
Trump has shown us who he is every day for years. He calls the people who attacked our Capitol patriots. We only have ourselves to blame if we allow him back in the White House again.
And when President Biden and former President Trump take that stage in the first presidential debate hosted by CNN, Wink News will be there. Anchor Claire Gauld will bring us breaking coverage across all of our newscasts. And a reminder, you can watch the debate right at 9 p.m. right here on Wink.
What some are calling a freak accident takes the life of a man now we're hearing from a person close to him. It was first breaking news on Wink at 4 that we found out exactly what happened at the Firestone on Skyline in Cape Coral on Sunday. We told you that the worker was trying to inflate a tire. Instead, the tire was overinflated. When the victim pressed down on the tire, it exploded and killed him. Now, Wink News reporter Asha Patel joins us in Cape Coral. Asha, a mechanic tells you this should not have happened.
You're exactly right, Russ. That mechanic tells us that the employee should have never filled up that tire to that extent, to the point that it exploded. And he said that his crew has a rule. They can't fill up their tires more than 40 PSI. Now, I want to give you guys some advice that the mechanic gave me if you're filling up your tire at home. So the best way to see if what your maximum PSI is on your tire, just look at your tire. You can see right here on our Wink News car, the maximum PSI right here is 51. But you should never fill up your tire that much. To get the best idea, open up your car door on your driver's side and take a look at the numbers here. The maximum PSI is here 33, so you should be filling it up around that level, so that way you don't have any incident like this happening to you. Now, I did get to speak to that victim's close friend, and she was just in tears. Diane Shorb has been taking her cars to this Firestone for the last 15 years. When she heard someone had passed away there on Sunday, she was worried.
I asked a couple of people on the social media group, do they know who passed from Firestone? And they told me it was Rick, and I just didn't want to believe it.
Completely shocked when she learned a tire exploded, causing the life of her friend.
He knew when my husband passed. He asked me if I needed anything. When I needed work on my cars, he would drop me off at home here and pick me up.
Shorb tells me his name was Rick Hansen, general manager at Firestone, father of 2, and a husband. She reached out to Rick's daughter.
I got her number through her business on the website, and I shared my condolences.
According to the report released by Cape Coral Police Department, an employee was trying to inflate a tire, but it wasn't working. Instead, it was being overinflated. After several warnings not to inflate it anymore, the employee pressed down on the tire with his body weight, causing the tire with the rim inside to explode. Junior Sanchez, owner of Tire Discount in North Fort Myers, was devastated when he heard the news. He shared this Facebook post.
We don't know him, but we feel bad because it's a collie. It's another tire shop just like ours.
As for Shorb, she knew him and says she may not be able to return.
There are very many fond memories of him fixing a stupid nail in my tire.
Now, I called Firestone, and they are closed until further notice. Now, this investigation is in the hands of OSHA. Maybe we'll get some of those questions that we are waiting to get answers for. What exactly happened, and was there any violations or hazards that went on? We're going to stay on top of the story, and we'll be sure to bring you the latest. But for now, I'm reporting live in Cape Coral. Asha Patel, Wink News.
Asha, thank you. Less money for kids to eat this summer. That's the road Florida's picked. How food sites are trying to help.